Hi, my name's Jack, and well, at first, I didn't believe in myths, fairy tales, or even the paranormal. But what happened to me changed my way of thinking about the world. It made me believe that there are things out there that we just don't know about. Yet. So, where should I begin? I guess it all started December 22nd. It was the middle of winter, and I lived at Maryland at the time. My wife and I had a divorce because I cheated on her a few years ago, so it was just me by myself. A few weeks after the divorce, she had a child. His name was Tyler. Even though I never got to see him, not even on my birthday, my wife made an exception to let me see him once, only because Tyler kept asking her to let me see him at Christmas, along with the fact that my birthday was the 25th, so she couldn't say no. Score for Tyler. On December 23rd, at 3 a.m., I met with him for the first time at the airport. I came to tears to see my son for the first time, in person. It was just one of those moments where I couldn't help myself. He had yellowish brown, curvy short hair. His eyes were dark brown. And he was breaking out with a few pimples on his face. He must have already hit the puberty stage, obviously. He wore a dark blue-sleeved jacket over a black t-shirt. He also wore ripped jeans with Timberlake boots. He then came over and gave me a hug that lasted for a minute. We then went to get his luggage, and then went to the back of my home. As soon as we get inside my house, I just give him a tour of the place. His room was a little roomy, with a couch, a television, and a twin bed. The closet was small, but still big enough to walk in. It was more like a box big enough to walk in. He seemed satisfied with the room, just because as soon as he walked in, he laid down. He laid down on the bed with a grin on his face. I just let you settle in, and I'll get the remote to watch television. I turned to the History Channel because there was always something interesting to watch. This time it talked mostly about sirens and mermaids. For 2 hours, I sat there watching it. Then I went to go check on Tyler. I opened the door and entered his room. To my surprise, he was already asleep, still wearing his clothes on top of the covers. I then heard music playing outside. I look out the window, next to the TV in Tyler's room. It's just my loud neighbors again. This had been going on ever since I moved to the area a year ago. Every time near the holidays, they would always have their music playing at night, and then show off some new decorations on their house the next morning. There were only 2 teenagers, one boy and one girl. They seemed about 17 years of age. And why, yes, they looked like teens. They didn't act like teens. I would only see them once or twice in the day. That's it. The next morning, my son and I were out to the store getting some decorations for my house. We picked out some yellow lights to go around the house, and then picked out the Christmas tree in the living room. I plan on going all out for Tyler's birthday. Hey Dad, do you mind if I pick out one last thing before we go? He asked. I told him yes, within a matter of 10 minutes. He came holding back an envelope. We went to the checkout to buy all the decoration and other stuff that cost me a fortune. But I would do anything for my son. I drove us back home, and on my way to the porch with the bags, and then I saw 2 strange teens putting up their decorations. Everything just plain white and red spots, with stripes on them. The decorations also looked like they were carved by hand. It must have taken hours to make all those decorations. Maybe even days. They came from outside with snowflakes, reindeers, and one white and red Santa sleigh. They really upped their game this year. Nice decorations, I yelled to them. The 2 teens stopped and looked up at me for a few minutes. Then looked at my son, who was getting the rest of the stuff out of the car. They had a blank stare on their faces, not even a smile, and then went back to decorating. My son and I went inside to put up the Christmas tree in the living room. Here, you start putting the decorations on the tree. I'll go make us some eggnog, I told him, giving him decorations. What's eggnog? It sounds gross, he said. I just laughed and said it's not gross at all. You'll actually like it. 6 hours went by of laughing and decorating, and there was a knock on the door. I go to the door to open it, only to see an envelope on the ground. I closed the door and opened it. It read, "Dear Jack, my husband and I are having a Christmas party at 10 o'clock tonight. We wanted to invite all the fun to the whole neighborhood. Will you be there? There will be snacks, drinks, and a few party games. Hope you can make it. Yours truly, Mrs. Brightster." I then go to the table to put the letter down for a minute. Tyler came on over with a different envelope. "Here, Dad, I know it's a little early, but I couldn't wait till Christmas to give it to you," he said. I then opened it and pulled it out. It was a necklace and a card. The necklace had a little cross with a ring over it. The whole necklace was silver plated. Then I looked at the card and I read, "Best Dad in the world." As corny as the card was, I gave my son a hug that lasted for 2 minutes. Then I told him about the party and asked if he wanted to go. "Sounds like fun," he said. "Alright, I'll drop you off there in a bit. I want you back by 10:30, okay? I can't go because I have some stuff I need to take care of. Can I trust you to go home and back by 10:30? Yes, you can," he said confidently. 5 hours passed and Tyler was at the door ready to go to the party. I got my keys and we made our way to the car. That's when, out the corner of my eye, I noticed a small dog running across the street from something 2 houses down. Then a giant monstrosity pounces on the dog from nowhere. The poor dog lets out a shriek. And the monster, that thing opens its mouth to a full 180-degree angle, showing millions of rows of horrifying dagger-like teeth. Then it takes a giant's chomp out of half the dog's body, blood being gushed out of the face of the monster. The dog lets out 3 loud shrieks out of pain, then was silenced due to the loss of blood, and I looked at that monstrosity chew the dog's lower body in its mouth, and it looked like nothing I've ever seen before. Its mouth was extremely wide, and it chewed the whole dog down. Then I looked at its entire body. It was a snake-like. It must have been at least 12 feet. Then I looked at its long, skinny arms. For the body of a serpent like a monster, I would expect the arms to be bigger. Then the hands were as long as half a skateboard. Its eyes were completely black, with a white spot in the center of them both. Then it stops eating and lets out a loud, monstrous yell, and stands up, tall, almost taller than me when I'm standing. The rest of its body slithers on the ground, making the whole monster move out of sight. I was so disgusted by that, what I just witnessed. I quickly grabbed my son's wrist and pulled him inside. "Son, you need to shut the door, lock every house right now." He goes upstairs to do so, while I do the same downstairs. A few minutes pass by, my son comes downstairs. "Dad, what happened?" I couldn't tell him what I saw, so I thought as fast as I said, "Well, I figured since the first time I've ever seen my own flesh and blood, it's most likely going to be the last that we could spend time together. You know, play a board game or just try to get to know each other." He gave me a blank look for a minute and then said, "Okay, I think I saw a Monopoly game upstairs. I'll go get it." I give Tyler a small grin as he goes back upstairs. He is gone. I look out through the blinds of the window to make sure as he goes back upstairs. And he is gone. I look out through the blinds on the window to make sure that horrific thing is gone. But I saw the lights were off from the party Mr. and Mrs. Brightster were having. My son comes back down the stairs, my phone in his hand, an excited expression on his face. "Dad, take a look at this. It was so cool, I caught it on my phone," Tyler said. He gave me a cell phone to look at the video, then rambled about his findings. He said that two giant serpent-like monsters were going back and forth from our neighbor's house over to the Brightsters' house, where the party was being held. He also said each time it would slither over the fence of the Brightsters' house, empty-handed, then would come out with two motionless people being held in their arms. Going back to our neighbor's backyard were two strange teens living there. He also said that this happened 3 times while he was upstairs for the whole 2 minutes. The 4th time, the two like serpents stopped at the fence of the Brightsters' house and looked directly at him, as if they were looking into his very soul. Then they turned their heads full 180 degrees without their bodies moving the same way. Then both of them gave my son a giant smile that was about bigger than their face. Their eyes glowed bright red. After their little display of horror, they jumped the fence and go back to what they were doing before. I looked at the video my son Tyler had caught on his phone, and what I saw made me shiver just looking at it. Everything the phone showed me was everything my son just told me. Also knowing that there were 2 of these things in the neighborhood, and just seeing the way they looked at my son, I just didn't know what to think. To think those things could have come after my son, no, I can't imagine such a thing. I would rather die than let those things take my son away from me. I needed some time to think about what I was going to do. I told Tyler to watch TV or something, and to keep the video over and over again. In my mind, I was asking myself, why were these things here? Where did they come from? And what are their plans? These questions were spinning around my head like a tornado. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't call the cops. They would just laugh right in my face. If I told them that there were 2 serpent monsters in the area, I definitely couldn't tell my ex, because that would just be one headache I don't feel like dealing with right now. I guess all I could do was keep this on the down low until the whole thing blows over. December 24th. Christmas was just 1 day away, and the gifts for my son were already under the Christmas tree. Tyler was asleep in bed, so I decided to go ahead and make a good breakfast for him to wake up. 2. I pulled out a good cookbook that was passed on to me by my mom. I came from a family of good cooks. All the family recipes were kept in this very book. I flip, though, a couple pages until I find lumber chunk in breakfast. It said on the page that the recipe was made by the great-grandmother, but the year was smudged, so I couldn't tell when it was made. It looked like a good idea, so I grabbed some eggs out of the fridge and pulled out pancake mix, pulled out some OJ from the fridge as well. Then I pulled out 2 pans and started cooking. I guess the sound of sizzling eggs woke up Tyler because I saw him downstairs wearing nothing but some jeans and a no-sleeve t-shirt while rubbing his eyes. I didn't say anything for a few minutes. Then I asked, "What for breakfast? Pancakes, sausage, eggs, with bacon and OJ?" I told him. We sat down on the couch and I picked up the remote to watch TV. After a few minutes of cooking, I have my breakfast all set on the table. "The food is done. Come and get it," I said. Within 1 second, Tyler was at the table, gobbling down all the food on his plate. I didn't even think I saw him chew his food first. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. I go over from the table to open the door. It was Mrs. Brightster, and she had tears running down her cheeks, while giving me a look of sorrow. In her hand, she held a CD. "I'm so sorry for your loss, Jack," she said. "My loss? What are you talking about?" I said. She looked down and handed me the CD. I thought she was joking, so I started to chuckle. "Oh, I get it. Nice try, Mrs. Brightster," I said playfully. Then she lifted her face back up at me with the same expression, and said, "I found this in my mailbox this morning, and when I went to play it, it showed me, your son, being brutally tortured by these horrible creatures. I'm so sorry." So I quickly smiled, then laughed out loud again. I turned around to show her that my son on the table eating breakfast was fine. But when I did, no one was there. All I saw was food I made still on the table, still intact, and still hot, as if it had never been touched at all. The TV remote was off and still on the couch, just the way I left it last night. Nothing. It was as if the last 2 hours I spent with my son this morning never even happened. The smile quickly turned into a frown. Then I looked back at Mrs. Brightster and snatched the CD from her hand, then go back into the house and look for my son. I yelled from downstairs. No answer. Next, I said that if he didn't come downstairs, I wouldn't whip him with my leather belt. Nothing. Not even a thump of his foot stepping on the floor. Then I quickly ran upstairs to his room. He was still sleeping in the bed, with the pillow covering his head, but just seeing him sleeping in bed wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to make sure he was breathing. I needed to know he was still on this earth. I had to know. I then take the pillow from over his head, and I throw it to the floor. Then, what I saw was my son. But his eyes popped out of their sockets. There was a big cut through his throat. Dry blood all over his face. I then noticed a small, folded piece of paper on his neck where the cut was. I grabbed the bloody folded paper, then opened it. It read, "Look under the bed." And when I did, the note instructed. I found a small gift wrap, a blue and green wrapping paper, with a little bow on top of the box. I took the box from under the bed and ripped all the wrapping paper off. I opened the box, and there was a note that said "Merry Christmas." And next to it, one eyeball. So, hey guys, what did you think? I like to think this is a very power to the people kind of narration channel, so did the author do good? Did I do good? Or did I do terrible? Did the author do terrible? Would it be better just to read it? Did the narration really bring out the creepiness in it? Vice versa, just let me know. I love crap like that and opinions. Tell me down below. I like this to be a power to the people kind of creepypasta thing. And Christmas is my favorite holiday, so Merry Christmas extremely early. I might just reboot this for a Christmas special, I don't even know. Alright, bye.
Bye.